What I'm going to do is demonstrate briefly the use of the dot welder. What you would do is you attach the ground clamp to the piece of metal to be welded by the dot welder. Best results are obtained if the ground clamp is attached as close to the weld area as possible. If the work to be welded is a large mold and the ground clamp will not fit, an additional C-clamp may be fastened to the work and the ground clamp attached to the C-clamp. You adjust the variable electronic timer and your heat setting tap switch in the front panel in accordance with the suggested heat and time table, which is supplied with the operations manual that comes with the dot welder. The settings are average settings and depend on the quality and length of the ground path. Results will vary, so experiments should be made on equivalent scrap material, and optimum settings should be discovered prior to actually performing the work on the actual piece of work. Experience in setting both the timer and the heat selector switch will be acquired with practice. These values are suggested in the guide to only serve as a guide or a starting point, reference point. So for example, they're saying on the 1/8 inch pellet to use heat setting 5, put that on 5, and a setting at about 1.5 seconds. So after that is performed, and we take the gun, and of course if you're doing actual work you should be using tweezers, but I'm only doing this as an example. Take the 1/8 ounce pellet, and you have a concave surface on the end of the electrode. That pellet on a case of sheet metal can go right there, but in the case of a mold you would put it down in your prepared work by means of a tweezer. Once your pellet is on the work, in the mold, what have you, you want the gun straight up and down, apply a fair amount of pressure, and depress the trigger. That fused the pellet into the weld area. My suggestion is the suggested heat, time, and settings I was set exactly for that. My suggestion would be in setting up would be to go something a little lower. I'm going to go tap 4 in about 1 second of time. As you notice, that was a considerable amount of time on the last weld, and of course you will have to experiment with it to come up with the optimum setting. So we take the pellet, apply it to the work, and initiate. That was a much shorter time than the last one, so I'm going to go up just a little, reapply, and initiate. As explained earlier, it is a simple unit. It does take practice and some experimentation to develop the proper settings, but it shouldn't take any time to have it down pat. Thank you.